Hey everyone, it's Fred Staub and Les Jackson. We are glad you are here. We've got a full hour, more than a full hour, Les, 2 hours worth of
That's right.
goodness, automotive goodness, right?
Lots of toys, lots of gadgets, lots of information, mostly really exciting.
Yeah, mostly really exciting. We'll tell you a little bit about what we're going to talk about. We're going to start off with a talking tech. Aero. That's what we're talking about. Aerodynamics. Cadillac builds its fastest subcompact ever, and that's thanks to
Yep,
all the downforce tech, right?
absolutely. And that's cool stuff.
It,
And
it
over at Honda,
oh,
they reveal their Civic hatchback. Yes, I said the word.
yeah. Why are hatchbacks not really popular with Americans? I like them. I always like
I
them.
think because people used to equate them with a cheap entry level car.
Yeah, like the wasn't it the Mazda GLC or something like that? Great
Yeah,
little car.
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, there's that. And then Nissan is recovering massively from their huge sales slump and Carlos Ghosn's antics. Um, and uh,
Yes,
and they are doing really well now that they have recovered. They're selling a lot of things, and it's all about product, Les Jackson. Picture that, having new
it is
vehicles
about,
to sell.
yeah, it is about product. A little later on, we're going to tell you about what is the most American car.
Yeah, that's interesting. And then we're also going to talk about the return of drag racing to Pontiac, Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Roadkill Nights. Bob Broderdorf, who's head of the Dodge brand, is going to join us and talk about this stuff. Man, that looks like something right out of the 50s or 60s,
It
doesn't it?
sure does. It looks the picture we're looking at looks very basic, like a bunch of guys threw it together on a weekend.
Yeah, and got after it. So we'll talk about Roadkill Nights. Are you a fan of Roadkill? I am. The show. I love their zip tie moment. I think that's pretty funny.
It's funny. I never watch it. I just have never gotten around to watching it. The only time I was associated with it is when the roadkill guys
Uh huh.
challenged the gas monkey guys to a drag race.
Wasn't that the one where the gas monkey guy? I think it was at this event. He ended up driving up the wall.
Uh, I don't think so. Uh,
There was
but
one where he actually drove up the wall of this event here, the Jersey barrier, as we call it.
wow,
I'm not quite sure how that happened.
I wouldn't want to happen to me.
No, you would not want it to happen to you or any car that you cared about. But
No.
it seems like he had a little bit of problem with it. So
Hmm.
yeah, so
And over at Infinity, nice brand, they show off the QX60.
yeah, that's pretty cool, right?
It is cool.
So we'll talk a little bit about that, which is always good to hear about, isn't it?
Yeah, and I know that your Bentley probably needs to have the ashtray emptied,
Right.
but over at Bentley, you're able to score the perfect driving soundtrack using artificial intelligence. They're one thing about Bentley that they're super high tech.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's all coming up on Cruise Control, your on air automotive magazine. So we will be right back. Stay tuned.
This is Cruise Control.
Control.
Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staub and Les Jackson.
Control.
Everything you need to know about new and used cars.
Control.
Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air.
Control.
Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin.
Control.
Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
And welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It's that time again, Les Jackson. Time to rev up the Cruise Control van and get it going, right?
Yes, indeed. It's back on the road after 14 months of shutdown, but and it's running exactly the way it used to, which is badly.
Yeah, 3.5 cylinders, as we like to say. That half piston offers a little bit of cooling to the engine.
A little leakage.
Yeah, a little leakage.
Yeah.
A little low on the compression meter, but that's okay because we've got plenty to tell you about, including Cadillac. Cadillac is going to build the fastest subcompact sedan ever, thanks to plenty of aerodynamic downforce. And who doesn't love some good aerodynamic downforce, Les Jackson?
Absolutely. And that graphic, boy, that's directing some serious air underneath.
Sure is.
Cool stuff. And Honda has revealed its Civic hatchback, which is a type of car I've always really liked.
Yeah, I've owned a couple of them, and they're really good. They're really useful. But, sometimes in the U.S. market, they have not been the most popular thing. But we'll tell you about it. We're also going to tell you about Volvo's new crossover. It's got a built-in supercomputer, and what car wouldn't be complete without a supercomputer in it?
Well,
But will it be the safest vehicle ever built? It's going to be released real soon. We'll tell you about it ahead of time, right?
Yep, we will. And Nissan, as we know, has been recovering from a real sales slump, but they're going to do it with new products.
Yeah. Well, who doesn't want new products? I mean, isn't that
Yep.
why people go to car dealerships for new
I
products?
wonder if they're going to make any crossovers.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. And this, yes, drag racing returns to Pontiac, Michigan, thanks to Dodge and Roadkill. Of course, Roadkill's that show where they zip tie cars together on Motor Trend. Fun show.
Yep.
We'll get the details of this year's Roadkill Nights event from Bob Broderdorf, who's head of the Dodge brand. All that and more when we get rolling on this edition of Cruise Control. That's a lot less. I think we've got a full hour here of automotive stuff going on, don't we?
I think we do. I keep thinking of the old radio commercials. Sunday, over at a Quasco drag strip.
I used to love those
Grind
things.
gears versus synchro mesh.
That's right. You'll be lighting up the quarter mile. Be there.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that when they said be there. It's on. That's the other thing.
Yeah. I guess that was a generic announcer.
I think so. Or the script got sent around to the radio stations. But maybe NHRA had it. That's it. They put them together.
Yeah.
But cool stuff. Hey, I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We will be right back on Cruise Control, so stay tuned. We are just getting started, and we've got a lot to get to.
In 5.
Okay. All right.
Cruise Control.
Hey, welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It's us again. I'm Les. He's Fred.
That's me.
Over there somewhere.
Hi.
And we're going to start off this hour with some tech talk because Cadillac is building, as Fred said in the beginning, the fastest ever subcompact sport sedan. It's got a great name. It's called the Black Wing.
Yeah, of course, we should say the Black Wing was originally the Hot V V8 that was in the CT6, and
Right.
neither the engine or the car exists anymore, but the CT5 V Black Wing does, which is pretty slick, isn't it?
It's pretty slick, and it's got an estimated top speed of 189.
Well, that will get it done.
Because, 190 is why I don't know. But this is pretty trick. A lot of everything underneath is super. What do they call it?
Slick?
Slick, or there's another word.
Air management. They manage the air.
Yeah, laminar flow.
Laminar flow. There you go. There's an example of laminar flow.
And
Right?
and that's what super high speed airplanes use.
Yes.
Like the Blackbird,
Yes. Yes.
fastest plane ever.
Well, lot
So
of-
this is going to be incredible to try.
a lot of it has to do with what's underneath. There's fender vents and rocker molding, front splitter rocker molding, and flat underbody and rear control arm covers to prevent air from building up around the rear wheel well and control arms. Carbon fiber package, including front dive planes. Somehow we became a submarine, didn't we?
Yeah.
Extra aero front splitter, front wheel deflectors. It's all about managing airflow. And this also, if you see on the back of this vehicle, there is a huge rear wing, huge, like a wicker bill type of wing, and that is going to create tremendous downforce. Now, you might say, well, that's all nice about this, but all this technology can be applied to electric cars as well, can't it?
Absolutely. There's no reason you can't do exactly the same thing. In fact, electric car will even be smoother underneath because you don't have an exhaust.
Yeah. They spent something like 500 hours of wind tunnel testing and 300 simulations using advanced computational fluid dynamics. I know you like that.
I do like that.
Yeah.
By the way, wind tunnel testing is incredibly expensive.
I would imagine.
You'd think, well, it's just a big fan and a tunnel, but it's unbelievably complex and expensive to build and to run.
They also use the 5-belt rolling road wind tunnel, so the vehicle is not just strapped down with the air moving. The vehicle's actually moving too. So the parts underneath are moving: the wheels, the tires, the drive shaft, all that. And that allows more fine-tuning of the aerodynamic components and a more accurate simulation of under-vehicle airflow than previously, when they just tied these things down to a plate. So cool stuff.
It is cool.
A lot of downforce, though. That's key to keeping those big meats stuck to the ground, isn't it?
At 189 miles an hour, you want serious downforce because if you think about cars, any car, it's flat on the bottom, rounded on the top. That's a wing.
Right.
So if you go fast enough in any car, it's going to fly.
It's going to fly, and
And you don't want to fly in a car.
No, you don't want to fly in a car. That's for sure. Hey, you're listening to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We are glad you're along for the ride. We've got a lot to get to here, Les, including this vehicle, and that is the Honda Civic hatchback. It was revealed this week. I'll read you right from their press release. All new Civic hatchback aimed at young, active buyers with increased versatility, sportier driving character, and Euro design exterior design. Now, nobody builds cars for people that sit and watch TV, do they?
No, they don't. It's aimed at young or those who think they're young.
Or those who own a kayak. That's what I think.
Or those who have good credit.
Yes. Well, we'll talk about that when we come back on Cruise Control. I think Bob is here, but I'm gonna have him wait.
You suppose the Civic is going to ride harsh?
Don't know. Depends on how they tuned it. 10th generation.
I'm driving this Miata.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We were talking a little bit about the Honda Civic hatchback aimed at those young, active buyers and Euro-inspired 5-door versatility. I always liked hatchbacks. I think this one's pretty cool. It has a fastback look to it. It is the 10th generation of the Civic hatchback. That's got some cool stuff here, including a 19% increase in torsional rigidity. The cargo opening widened by 1.6 inches. And then they kind of break it away from the other Civics with a front end unique front end styling. Look at this. It's available with a short throw 6-speed manual transmission in the sport and touring mode. Remember those things?
Well, believe it or not, for the first time in, gosh, 8-9 months, I've got a 6-speed right now that I'm testing, and last week's test car was a 6-speed.
Wow.
That's
amazing.
manuals in a row. I think because I'm the only one that knows how to drive them, so they're available.
Yeah. I think I told you the story where we have a friend that has a Honda, and she has a manual in it, and she took it into the dealer, and they're like, "Oh, we'll move your car over there," or it was in the back or something, and they're like, "Oh, we'll move it up," and they're like, "Oh," one guy walked all the way over there, and he said, "Oh, it's a manual. We have to get the manual guy, the one guy that knows how to move it." And she's like, "Well, I'll go if you let me go back there. I'll move it." It's like, "No, we have to wait for the manual guy."
Boy, times have changed.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly even if you bring your vehicle into a parking garage, there's a good chance they might not know how to move it.
I always worry about it when I'm down in D.C. at a parking garage and I have a manual, because I just tell them, I say, "Look, this is a manual." Oh. And then
what does that mean?
It sits there for it's actually been one case where it sat there for 2.5 hours until I came back to pick it up.
They're like, "Well, we'll let you go down and move it. We'll let you go down to the sub basement."
It sat at the entrance.
Wow.
There was nobody to move it, so they just left it there.
Yeah, you just park it there and well,
which was sort of handy.
Yeah, well, maybe that's a good thing, Les. I mean, maybe that is one way of getting a good parking space. So, hey, let's.
Yeah, but it's. I just think they can be abused. Anyway,
well, let's talk about Volvo. What they got going on? They're going to have a reveal, like so many of our manufacturer friends have done. They're going to have a reveal, I believe it is next week, and it is going to be what they call the safest vehicle ever. It will be the XC90, the all-electric version, and it will have state-of-the-art sensors, including LiDAR, built-in, developed by Luminar, and an autonomous driving computer powered by NVIDIA's Drive-On Orin system on a chip as standard. They're calling it a supercomputer. I guess it's not a Cray supercomputer, but
for autonomous driving, you need a very, very powerful computer.
Well, it is going to have a sensor suite that uses artificial intelligence, and this will include systems for steering, braking, parking, all kinds of things. The LiDAR will be built into the vehicle. It will not be on a tower on the roof or something that looks like one of those pods on the roof. And they are saying this will be the most advanced, safest car ever built.
Well,
avoid crashes. It will just avoid crashes no matter what.
I believe them. I think, they've been at this for a long, long time.
Yeah, safety has always been a big play when it comes to Volvo, and it looks like this is only going to continue it and take it to the next level. I should say, I said it was going to be revealed next week. It will be revealed in 2022. We don't actually have a date for that yet.
Yeah, I hope it's a regional, up in-person reveal, because you can't appreciate this stuff unless you actually ride in it.
Yeah, interesting stuff, though. I would say this might be the first actual integration of laser radar, LiDAR, into a vehicle where it's not just something that's been added onto the roof for as the Google car. You called it the Google car Mr. Beep, didn't you? It looked like it had a radio tower on the roof with a spinning sensor. So
and they've been running a fleet of 100 XC90s mostly in Europe, but some here. Engineers have been testing them for autonomous driving since 2017
Wow.
because they had one here, and I got to sit in it and ride around the Capitol Hill one January day.
And it worked.
It worked. It went slowly, but it worked.
Hey, one thing that's not going so slowly is Nissan's recovery in the U.S. They were in a rough situation. Remember when their CEO, Carlos Ghosn, was arrested for fraud and he was snuck out of Japan in a box or something like that, right?
That kind of puts a damper on things.
Yeah, he's not available for meetings, that's for sure. Well, they are having a big revival in the North American market. Of course, they've got a lot of new vehicles out there, including their Pathfinder and their Rogue and many others. Frontier, the new Sentra is doing well. They've stuck with sedans. So this is really, of course, the new Nissan Z that's going to be available. It's all about product, and it looks like they've got a lot of product out there. So that's why I think they're selling product. What do you think? If it's fresh,
well,
they go for it. It's like produce. If it's fresh, people will buy it.
Well, if it's fresh, it looks good. You expect it to taste good in produce. Yeah, I think I'm rooting for Nissan. I've always liked them as a brand, and they're due for a big upturn.
Yeah, well, thankfully the Frontier's coming out. The Frontier pickup, their small pickup. I think that was the oldest vehicle of any manufacturer. That went back to the early 2000s, I believe, but we still liked it. It was just a good pickup, but it was just and probably you can pick one of them up pretty cheaply. Well, if you can pick up any used vehicle cheaply today.
Yeah,
but
good luck on that.
Yeah, but the new Frontier will be coming out this on sale this summer. Actually, I thought it was out already. I actually asked to get into it to do an at the wheel review for our viewers and listeners, but I think it is still making its way to dealers. So when we come back, we are going to talk about what is going on with Roadkill Nights in Pontiac, Michigan. Dodge and Motor Trend and Roadkill are getting together, and we are lucky to have Bob Broderdorf, who is the head of the Dodge brand, and he will be by in a little bit. It looks like the old 60s type racing. They set it up. They set it up on the street, but they are setting it up legally on the street, and they have a lot of fun. Of course, there's a lot of Dodge product there. There'll be some celebrity races and a lot going on. So Bob is going to join us after the break, and we're glad to have him on Cruise Control to talk about that and what's going on at Dodge. They have a never-ending line of fresh models always coming out, new versions coming out, and it's sort of like Hot Wheels, Les. You just got to keep buying them so you have the full collection.
Right.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, so we will talk to him after the break on Cruise Control. Don't forget to check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com, where you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. It's all there. We've got a lot of pictures of the vehicles we're talking about on our Facebook page, Cruise Control Radio Facebook page. So go there and throw us a like. We would appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to hit the streets and do some legal drag racing with Dodge.
Woodward Avenue.
Stay tuned.
We're there.
Be there.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Hello, everyone. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. And we are joined by Bob Roderdorf, who is the head of the Dodge brand in North America. And we're going to talk about something that looks like this. And it is Roadkill Nights making a return back to Pontiac, Michigan. Bob, this has got to be a great place to showcase Dodges.
Yeah, there's no question. Roadkill really started as a concept with the idea of how do we showcase the Dodge lineup in the wild at a proper venue to really let people see what these cars were capable of. Almost 7 years ago when it first started, really at a very small event just at the Pontiac Silverdome, and it's really turned into an absolute monster, and we're happy to have it back this year.
Well, for people, go ahead, Les.
Oh, I mean, is the idea, because it certainly looks this way to me, is the idea to sort of bring drag racing back to the days when you drove your car there and you thought you were the fastest guy in your neighborhood, but you wanted to take on other people. You weren't a professional racer. You just were a car guy.
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I think this the event was designed by car people. We picked obviously one of the most iconic streets on the planet 1 week before one of the biggest car shows on the planet, the Woodward Dream Cruise. So from an iconic standpoint, this is all about taking the car, the weekend warrior, letting the old school mentality of bringing out really some incredible products and seeing what these things are capable of doing against one another in really the most purest, raw fashion street racing humanly possible.
Yeah, like we were having fun with before, Bob. Side-by-side action. Be there. Sunday, right. Sunday. Yeah, it's all good. Well, for people who are not familiar with the event, tell us a little bit about, besides drag racing, what else they might encounter.
Oh, we really packed this thing. So it's featured at the M1 Concourse, where we really take the entire property and we turn this thing into a complete playground for automotive enthusiasts. And what you'll find there is everything from your vintage car show display all the way to thrill rides with Hellcats, with professional drivers. We've got a whole series of stunts and shows that are available, from flamethrowers to wheel standers. We've got, obviously, we're going to have celebrity races that'll be there, which is going to be the big announcement for the year, all the way down to our traditional 120 weekend warriors that can register and race one another for prize money. So the action there is pretty much nonstop.
Now he almost went back into that drag racing commercial.
Almost.
Action,
yeah,
nonstop. Be there. Well, for people that don't know what Roadkill is, I love the show because they basically take cars that are just, they dig out of a field somewhere and they do something crazy with it. Put a giant 440 in it. Put a Hellcat engine in it or whatever. Sometimes it's held together with zip ties. I believe that's another one of their events. But the appeal of it, Bob, is like anyone can get back in and have fun even if they don't have a huge budget.
There's no question. And that's why we love those guys. I think just their platform, who they attract, their entire presence on how they approach really cars, for us is a ton of fun. There's a lot of similarities with the Dodge brand of how we approach it and really try to make products for our audience. But those guys are phenomenal. They're incredible partners. And I think this thing's turned into something special. So, yeah, those guys are a blast to work with.
Yeah, one of the fun cars they had, Les, was they were given I believe it was a Hellcat Charger in great shape from Dodge to use for their show. And they made it look with a wrap like their other beat up cars, all rusty and mismatched panels. I guess you were okay with that, Bob.
Look, there's something raw and pure about going back to the origin of it all, right? I mean, we know what the everyday Charger and Challenger looks like. We make some great stuff, but seeing what those guys do and how they put that wrap on, I think was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Do you got to have grudge matches in this, like the old days where they're, it's usually a good sport or good fun, but you got a couple guys that are sort of the top dogs, and then you stage a grudge match at some of these. Are you doing that?
Yeah, this year that's actually going to be, I think, one of the new main attractions. Anytime we do Roadkill, we are looking to try to make it bigger and better. And even if you've been 5 times, I want something new that you guys can see and get excited about. And this year, our partnership with Motor Trend, we've got Eric Malone is going to come to the event. And he's going to feature, he's from the Fastest Cars in the Dirty South.
Yep.
He's got his show. He's going to do a full episode on there. And we're going to allow him to compete against 4 of the top influencers that are going to be in the same vein of putting their car together with a Charger and Challenger that we're going to provide them. And we're going to have a true Hellcat grudge match that are really going to amplify this thing and the pinnacle of the event. So I think we've got an outstanding event showcase. And there are going to be some amazing personalities. They're going to be there on race day. Yeah,
he's got a great show. I like that. Some of those cars are pretty intense stuff. It's a whole culture of, that's it. Like, I'm going to run you for money and I'm going to build my car up. And it's an interesting look into other people's worlds. And of course, some great eye candy with drag racing there. What else? People will be able to, Bob, experience the Dodge products. That's key. And you talked about hot shoe rides. What's that going to be like? Are you going to take them down the drag strip?
Yeah, we got 2 tracks. So we got 2 separate road courses on the M1 property, and we've got our professional drivers out there, and our fans can get in line and experience a thrill ride from a nearly 800 horsepower car from a professional driver, which is an entirely different experience itself. Watching these guys drift through cones, absolutely just rip up a road course. And then when you're done, you can stop and watch them drag racing on Woodward, along with the other host of properties. But our pro drivers get after it, and they really give the fans something to remember.
Does any actual traffic ever drive on Woodward? It just seems like
it's just hot rodders.
Is always the scene of events, and am I right? It's the oldest highway built in America.
Yeah. The Woodward's very iconic, and if for somebody who grew up here in Detroit, obviously, I mean, that's like the Mecca, right? That's one of the most iconic areas for the Dream Cruise. And if you've never been, the only way I can describe it is some of the most exciting, interesting cars that the eye has ever seen for as far as the eye can see, with literally hundreds of thousands of people, all there, passionate, rabid fans, all just having an amazing time, checking out the cruise. And, obviously this Roadkill, the Dodge event really, I think, kicks the whole week off. I mean, people are already out there right now on the weekend showing off cars. Cars and coffee on Woodward is not unusual, especially this time of year.
We should say they're already there, but the event happens on August 14th, right?
Well, I think they're having their own events.
They are having their own events, but it's just one of those passion points and places where I think automotive enthusiasts go. Woodward's definitely a location to find that type of activity.
Well, Bob, since you grew up in the area, what are some of your memories of running?
My whether it was Woodward or Gratiot, when my parents were growing up, and just their series of muscle cars, and for me, I think it's that late 60s, 70s era where some of the most iconic cars of muscle car lore. We all grew up looking at those cars. They're still talked about to this day. I think just cruising in those areas, or even my grandfather or my parents having them, and how our parents talked about it. I mean, my parents met in high school, and they're still together to this day, and they talked about cruising on Gratiot or cruising down Woodward. That's just kind of a staple for the Detroit American car culture. Like, that's just a common story. And I know that might have been for me, and I happen to be in this industry, but that's normal for a lot of people around here that grew up in that era.
Wow.
When did people start cruising? I mean, I associate it with the 60s.
I would say 50s, though.
But did it, were people in the 30s cruising? I
really don't know, but I think for as far as any really can go back, I mean, even the original Dodge brothers showing off cars, trying to up Ford way back in the day. I mean, that's over 100 years ago. People were showing off cars in Detroit. So I don't know. They've probably been cruising since the 30s for sure. And definitely from at least my more modern memory from the things I grew up on, definitely 50s and 60s. But that's iconic for this city.
Yeah, I also think it started big time. Hot rodding started after World War II, where guys came back. They were used to fabricating stuff, making stuff up in the field. They were restless. They wanted a thrill. You know, it was hard to get back into normal life. So they're like, hey, let's go run these cars out on the dry lakes or cruise up the boulevard. And they were very good at mechanical things for making things happen. And where'd they learn about supercharging? Where'd they learn about free-flowing exhaust? Well, it was airplanes and engines and stuff like that they were involved with. So we are talking with Bob Broderdorf. Bob, we got a break coming up. Stay with us. He's going to tell us more about Roadkill Nights coming up on August 14th. It sounds like an incredible event. We'll hear more about it when we come back on Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We will be right back. Cool.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We have Bob Broderdorf, who is head of the North American brand Dodge, with us, and we are just loving this discussion about Roadkill Nights. That's coming up August 14th. And Bob, I know you're gonna have. We were talking a little bit about the track, which is basically a street. You do a little bit of prep on the starting line, a little bit of traction compound, right?
Yep, yeah. We the Woodward Street that we race on. It's pretty much we've got about an 1/8 mile track, and we definitely prep up the beginning to make sure that the racers get off to a phenomenal start. But the street itself, this is a public street with street legal drag racing, and we obviously prep the course in the beginning, make sure we take care of it after the fact. City of Pontiac's phenomenal to let us to do something like this, but the stuff that the racers are on, this is an absolute normal street public road that people can go on with cracks and bumps and crowns, and it definitely makes for a different approach to racing, very much like many of us would experience in the real world, sort of stoplight to stoplight.
Yeah.
So you need a fair amount of run out space at the end of the track, because they got to, their brakes and tires have to work on a real street.
Yeah, you'll see cars there with parachutes. You find that they don't necessarily use them because obviously the key on Woodward is the initial traction. You got to kind of get that good rolling start before you kind of let it rip in that nice peak. But we've got plenty of runway past it. Like I said, the city was phenomenal to give us a lot of space and really make the venue work for all of these weekend work.
Where's the crowd? Where are the spectators? They don't have bleachers, do they?
Yeah, we set it up. We set it up for bleachers all down the side. The circus that is Roadkill is impressive. Whether it's TVs or live streams or just the camera crews that are running around to feature the action. There are bleachers, stands for people to be all up along the road, past the barriers. You get a real close, hands-on look of these cars running. Oh. It's a pretty impressive setup.
Now, can you share with us some of the celebrities that are going to be making runs down there? I assume Freiberger and Finnegan and all the other folks from Roadkill will be there, but who are some of the other people? We got the normal
crew from Roadkill. Eric Malone will be there. Mm-hmm. We've got a couple of other guests that we're expecting that we haven't announced quite yet, but the initial announcement was very much about Eric Malone and the TV show, and the fact that there will be 3 different TV shows filmed there that day.
Wow.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. And I think with the influencers, you'll see a further extension of the contestants that we're going to have. They're going to be able to document the entire build up to Roadkill and just all that's going to go into these products that we're going to give them for this Hellcat grudge match.
Now, when you say influencers, that's not somebody just pitching jewelry or something like that. These are actual car people building cars, right?
Yeah, we're in the process of finalizing the background checks, but we've worked with Eric and the Motor Trend team to find 4 legitimate car builders who are capable of racing at Roadkill and taking a Hellcat that we're going to give them, plus that 10 grand, and let them make modifications in the purest form. And the amazing part about it, there are no rules. You got to use the Charger or Challenger that we provide. You got to use the block. Got to use the blower. Otherwise, all bets are off. You do what you got to do, and let's see, and fastest car wins. So it should be a really fun race and some amazing content that everybody's going to get to enjoy and see.
Well, what would you do if you were going to drag race a Hellcat? All I do is change out the tires for some kind of drag radials in the back, because what else do you need to do? It's got plenty of horsepower already.
Yeah, there's no question. When you're throwing around 800 horsepower off of a stock car, obviously traction is going to be key. But given the backgrounds of the contestants that we've chosen, along with Eric Malone, we had a conversation yesterday, and he's like, I'm absolutely breaking 1,000 horsepower, there's no question. And you can expect some pretty interesting tactics that he's going to put into that car. So our influencers better be ready, because he's serious.
Yeah, he builds a lot of power. He certainly does.
If you drill enough holes in all the interior panels, you can really lighten a car.
Yeah.
That's what
lightweighting, traction, and just old school raw horsepower, I think, are going to be crucial to this one.
Yeah, air and fuel, and more of it, as much as you can jam in there. Yeah. What is it, Bob? It's always been true with Dodge owners and Mopar owners. They like to use their vehicles. They're not like, oh, I'll just park them in a field and sit next to them with a lawn chair. They're always out doing burnout contests or racing or whatever. What is it about the brand that makes people want to really use their cars?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I think first, if you just look at the Dodge audience, who is the Brotherhood of Muscle, who these people are, they're a very young audience. We actually have one of the youngest demographics in the industry, and they're wildly passionate. And these cars, they're not just, hey, I want to collect them and throw them in the garage with a cover on them. Like, they want to drive them, they want to enjoy them. This is part of their lifestyle. They're a statement of who they are. Dodge people tell us that over and over again. And when we build our products and approach the style or the design or the content of the car, we keep that person in mind. That's the entire idea. Like, they need to be stating, we're worried about doing the Dodge thing. I'm not always too interested in what everybody else is doing in the industry. It's more about appealing to those people. And there's something raw and pure and just true about approaching it that way. And I think that's why they do it. I mean, their approach to life is a very much an all-in and active point of view. And they want cars that they can drive every day and enjoy. And there's something, if you drive a Hellcat, there's something civil about it. If you want to just go get a normal day run, if you want to let it rip on a weekend warrior, we can do that.
Yeah, they're very streetable, Les. I've driven the Demon on the street, and that it's very streetable. You can be cruising along with the air conditioning and be quite comfortable. But the other thing I wanted to ask about, Les and I did a story last week. Your boss, Tim Kinesis, was talking about going electric. And what will that be like, for the Dodge brand? I mean, certainly electric vehicles have incredible performance. They might not have the sound and fury of a Hellcat engine, but what do you think? As a performance guy, I'm asking you as both a head of Dodge and a performance guy.
Yeah, there's no question. I think for us, we've got a couple of things coming up. So for our approach and how we're going to do this, we've gone to great lengths to explain how we're going to approach the world of electrification and what that means for the brand. And the world's going to get to see that on July 8th. So as far as our actual physical approach, I think I'll leave that day to my boss's presentation for everybody on the planet and how we're going to do it. But I think my comment would be as simple as this. We are absolutely going to stay true to what we do, and we will always continue to deliver muscle cars and performance cars that pay homage to our past. So our approach is very much going to take that into consideration, and you will see us continue to drive cars in that fashion going forward. But July 8th is going to be a big day. I think a lot of the motorheads and enthusiasts are curious to what we have to say and how we're going to answer that question.
So,
there you go. If you tell us quietly how fast it's going to be, we promise not to tell anybody.
You know us at Dodge. We like our secrets. We'd like to build a little bit of excitement now and then.
Oh, of course.
Well, we'll have to have you come back after July 8th and tell us, detail what you're going to tell us on July 8th, which you can't tell us now, but
you can tell us it's going to be really fast.
I think we'll have some exciting stuff for you, without question.
Well,
I think that'll definitely drive some more interview requests after we're done.
Well, the good thing about electric cars, as Les and I always talk about here on the show, is the horsepower levels are not going to go down, and the acceleration and instant acceleration is probably going to even go up, if that's possible, when you're talking about that in relation to Dodge products.
Yeah, there's no question. I think it brings something that's incredibly an interesting evolution of technology that could be harnessed in a very performance-oriented way. And there's going to be a lot of approaches to it. But as you alluded earlier in the show, I think man will always want to make something bigger, better, faster, better. Like that's how we're wired. There's a certain audience that's wired that way. And I don't care what we're doing, they're going to try to push the envelope.
Yep.
And that's sort of our approach.
All right. Well, Bob Broderdorf from Dodge, the head of the Dodge brand, we have an appointment after July 8th to bring you back and see what's going on in the future of Dodge. Also, we want to remind people to check out Roadkill Nights. I'm sure they can find that at any of the Dodge websites. So check that out August 14th. I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We're going to see you down the road. Take care.
Bye.
Is Cruise Control,
Control.
your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staub and Les Jackson.
Control.
Everything you need to know about new and used cars.
Control.
Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air.
Control.
Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin
Control.
because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I, of course, am Les Jackson. The other guy, of course, is Fred Staub. We're here each and every week because we want to keep you informed about the auto industry and what we're driving, what we like, what we don't like. And hey, there's no shortage of things to talk about this week, is there, Fred?
No, there's not, Les. And this is a story we like to do every year. It comes from Cars.com. It's time again to determine the title of the most American car built. And we'll run down the list from Cars.com. It might surprise you. Maybe it won't surprise you. We'll tell you about it.
Maybe not. And Infiniti shows off their QX60, which is nice SUV.
Yeah, a lot of luxury there.
It does have doors on the side.
Yeah.
We're showing the cutout version.
That would be funny. They made it into a Wrangler. Yeah, we'll talk about that. And Kia reveals and prices out its 2022 Soul. We're doing there are not a lot of changes, but we have to highlight the Soul as a really good value. I don't know if you've ever priced one out, Les, but they're pretty inexpensive and they're fun to drive, actually.
They are. It's a very, it's one of those just this sort of products that makes you feel good.
Yeah, I would agree.
And speaking of feeling good, but not having enough money to do it, talking tech, your new Bentley will be able to score the perfect driving soundtrack using artificial intelligence. So for that lucky listener out there who has a Bentley, please come and give us a ride.
Yeah. And then over to Jeep. I think this shows that they are looking to get competitive with the Bronco. They are going to have this cool package that's going to have 35-inch tires, the Recon package, Rubicon Recon. And I love that. That is going to be factory 35-inch tires. Les Jackson, that is in direct competition with the Bronco. That's why they've done that.
It sure is. I don't think Jeep is worried that much about the Bronco, but I think that they know they have to, keep on the top of their game.
And bring new stuff out and keep the focus on them, right?
That's right. And why are firefighters worried about electric cars? Well, there are some pretty good reasons.
Yeah, we'll tell you about that and kick that idea around. All that and a whole lot more when we get rolling on this edition of Cruise Control. Don't forget to check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com, where you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We put a lot of pictures up on our Facebook page and videos that you can check out the vehicles we're talking about. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We will be right back.
No, you,
Cruise control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub, Les Jackson, we are here with you, and we are full of it. Full of automotive stories, that is.
I hope so.
Don't forget to check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com. Check out our YouTube page. A lot of new videos up there. You'll want to check that out. If you missed the show, you can catch it there, the podcast, and more. cruisecontrolradio.com. That's a good place to go. And we always put pictures up on our Facebook page of what we're talking about so you can follow along with us. So, what is the most American-made car for this year, for 2021? And
Well, you know, and I know what it is.
but let's run down the other ones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And this comes from cars.com. They do it every year. They look at where it's made. They look at where the parts come from. And to many people, this is very important, American-made vehicles. And many will surprise you. At number 10, Toyota Tundra, San Antonio, Texas, Les Jackson.
Yep. And number 9 is Honda Passport in Lincoln, Alabama.
Nice vehicle. I like the Passport.
Yep.
Honda Pilot, Lincoln, Alabama, and Ridgeline in Lincoln, Alabama. Hotbed of activity in Lincoln,
yeah,
Alabama.
the Odyssey as well. Big plant.
Yeah, big plant. Lot of product. And then you've got one that we know. You and I have been to that plant, and
Yep. Number 5, the venerable Chevrolet Corvette. It's Bowling Green, Kentucky.
mm-hmm.
And everybody knows they're there along with the Corvette Museum.
Yep. And then the Jeep Cherokee in Belvidere, Illinois.
Very true. And then the Tesla Model Y
Mm-hmm.
in Fremont, California. That's the only factory that
Yep.
Tesla has.
The old NUMMI plant. Ford Mustang, number 2 most American vehicle, according to Cars.com, Flat Rock, Michigan. And you, Les Jackson, have the reveal of the most American-made vehicle.
Yes, the Lamborghini. No, it is not. It is the Tesla Model 3.
Mm-hmm. Fremont, California.
Yeah. Now, again, they're ranking these according to where they're made, have to be in America, and what amount of parts are produced here.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing is 100% American made.
I would have thought F-150s would have been in there in that list.
Yeah, I would certainly think so.
And I'm not sure where it's made now, but Ford Escape used to be up on this list. I'm not sure where the new one is made. It may be made in Mexico. I might be completely wrong, but also Jeep Wrangler, I would think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would think so. In fact, the Wrangler more than the Cherokee.
Yeah. Well, some interesting background on this. Out of 344 models on the market for 2021, how many of them have we driven?
At
least a
for
third.
2021?
Well,
most of them are carryovers.
yeah.
Other than that, maybe a third
Okay. So
of the new ones.
344 models that are available right now. Out of those, a total of 90 qualified for the American-made index. GM led the way with 19 cars on the index, followed by Honda, Toyota, Ford with 11. And as it relates to body style, nearly 50% of the vehicles are SUVs, followed by sedans. You remember that. At 28%, and interesting pickups, only 17%. A little bit of a surprise, right?
A little bit. I don't quite get that.
And this is interesting, but good to see. According to new research from Cars.com, 72% of shoppers consider a car's U.S. economic impact a significant or deciding factor in their vehicle purchase, and that's up from 70%, although that increase is not – it's a good amount, but –
frankly, I would have a year ago said maybe 40 or 50% consider it.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's probably regional. I think up in the Northeast, and I'm not so sure about where you are, but it's always been import capital. You know, people, like I said, I had somebody ask, is GM still in business? So that was recently, you know, so it's
Same thing is true in Washington, D.C. here. It's mostly import. Yet Baltimore, which is 25 miles away, is largely domestic.
Hey, we'll be right back with Cruise Control after this, so stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Hey, Fred.
Yeah?
Let's talk about one of my favorite brands, Infiniti.
Really? I didn't know that was one of your favorite brands.
I've always liked Infinitis, mainly because of the interiors.
Yeah, they do have some nice interiors, that's
really
true.
nice interiors.
Of course, Infiniti is the upscale brand from Nissan, if you're not familiar
That is
with
right.
it. You don't see a lot of them around. I mean, I don't see a lot of them around.
Not a lot, no.
It's not like Lexus, where you see a lot of Lexi. But they had a big week this week, didn't they, when they revealed a new I guess
That's
you would.
right.
It's a 3-row SUV, and it is it is certainly a beautiful looking vehicle. The inside of this is incredible. I like that they've paid a lot of attention to detail, and it's funny. I've never heard anyone talk about this, but the third row, they have done some ergonomic work on the third row to make the seats comfortable and have enough leg room. To me,
That's hard to believe because normally the third row is for the kids.
and it's like a jump seat. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's like in the Cadillac limousine, the little pad that you put down on the, on the hinge in case like it's, you would just sit there like on a little stool.
That's
basically.
right. If it was a train car, the first row would be first class, the second row would be second class, and the third row would be, dregs.
Better than standing.
Or as Richard Hammond did when they built a train, the scum class. Remember that in Top Gear?
Yes, yes. Well, beautiful interior on this vehicle, loaded with all kinds of nice things to have, all mod cons, basically.
Yeah.
12.3-inch interactive display, touchscreen for infotainment, wireless Apple CarPlay, and USB-based Android Auto compatibility. Interesting. I don't know whether that means Apple you can use wirelessly and Android you have to plug in. I mean, obviously you can use Android wirelessly. I've done it in other vehicles. A 10.8-inch head-up display. And the big thing that they're pitching are these sliding and tilting second-row seats to make the living in the second row a little bit nicer, because you and I have said it's not always the greatest place to be. All feature a 3.5-liter V6 and a 9-speed automatic, and you can get intelligent all-wheel drive and a new direct coupling all-wheel drive engagement for seamless power transfer. The interior, super luxurious.
Yeah.
They've done a great job.
Always inviting interiors. They're always nicely laid out for controls.
I'm a big fan of that crosshatch pattern that always reminds me of old aircraft interiors. I like that.
I can take it or leave it. I wouldn't actively look for it.
Okay.
But to me, it looks sort of Western, like a saddle.
Yeah, it is sadly. Sadly.
Yeah.
But
sadly, it looks saddly.
a lot of white trim, a lot of white piping on it. But to make the rear seat better is great. I think that is something that they should be, that we should bring that out. This is interesting, too. A new hallmark of Infinity's design language is the brilliant moonbow blue shade that reproduces deep blues and violets that blanket the summer sky at dusk.
Did you write that yourself?
No, I just read it.
Okay. It didn't sound like you.
No. Well, here, I'll read more. The QX60's exclusive and expressive moonbow blue captures our hearts and references the silence of the full moon night on a humid summer evening. Oh, my.
Wow. All right. Now, that's just downright upsetting.
And here's the tech. Special pigments allow color highlights to shift based on the view angle on a spectrum of ranges from purple through green. That's called flop. That's what the hot rodders call flop, which they've done it much more eloquently in this release, haven't they?
They have. This in journalism. These descriptions are called puff pieces.
Like puff cut and paste.
It sounds really good.
Yeah, it makes it. It's sort of like people that write menus, in diners. You know,
Right.
A flurry of fries accompany the handcrafted burger.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's a guy back there in the kitchen.
Slapping them on the plates.
Yeah.
Burger up.
Yep.
Ding, ding.
That's it.
So anyway, but there's a new autograph edition of this QX60. I won't read you the flowery prose about it, but it's really nice. It has a very high-end feel to it. So there you have it, the QX60. Kate Hudson was involved with the reveal. A lot more celebrities getting involved with car reveals. I just want to talk about the car, the vehicle. I don't really.
Yeah. Although I think the right celebrity can draw your attention to the car.
Okay.
And in a good way.
Yeah.
Without taking over the attention.
Right. I mean, the problem is today there are a lot of great three-row crossovers, and how do you make it stand out?
That's right.
And that's one way they're doing it. But nice lines. I like the black roof against the body. I always think that looks elegant. I like the belt line they've done. I like a straight belt line on the vehicle. Of course, the front end is all Infinity. It keeps the family in the family, keeps it all in the family there. So I look forward to driving it. It should be very elegant and very, very, very luxurious on the inside.
It's Infinity to me is one of those cars that you're never sorry you bought it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk about something a little bit different, shall we? And this is a little less expensive, more within our budget, and that is the 2022 Kia Soul. Now, it is kind of interesting that the folks at Kia have said there's not really a lot new here, except for it's wearing the new Kia badge, and they've eliminated the manual transmission because probably no one was taking it. I basically just pulled this story because I think if you're looking for a front-wheel drive, less expensive, SUV-like vehicle that's fun to drive, has a great interior, has great infotainment, a little bit of fun put in there with the flashing lights for the stereo. There you go.
Good size.
Good size, good warranty. It's something you should look at. I mean, let me just tell you some of these prices. The LX, which now comes with the automatic transmission, starts at $19,190.
Man,
the S.
That's really a bargain.
Yeah, and it's a fun vehicle, and it can be had in fun colors. Great first vehicle. Wouldn't it be a great first vehicle?
Mm-hmm. It would.
The S model is $21,490. The last one I drove was the X-Line. X-Line 2-liter. That was last year, and that was $22,590. You can get a GT line for the exact same price. The EX, which also has the 2-liter, is $23,490. Then the top of the range turbo 1.6 turbo is $27,790. Let me just go back to the X-Line a moment ago. When I drove that, I thought, let me think, could I like this vehicle after you and I drive some pretty pricey, very well-equipped vehicles? Could I live with this? And I'll tell you about that when we come back. A little bit more about the 2022 Kia Soul. And we've got that coming up. Plus, we get Jeep getting very patriotic and rolling out a vehicle with 35-inch tires. We're going to talk tech. We're going to talk about firefighters and electric cars, too. All coming up on Cruise Control. welcome back. Oh, that's Les Jackson's turn.
Well, it was.
Now it is. It's back to you.
That's right. Well, welcome back, everyone. As Fred just said, we were, before the break, talking about really the value and bargain you get with a Kia Soul.
Yeah.
It's just one of those cars that you just sort of, it's like a member of the family.
Yeah, it's cute. It's an inexpensive car that's useful because it's a square. It's one of the last of the square boxes. Can you name all the square box vehicles, Les?
There was the Nissan Cube. The Honda. What the heck was Honda's name?
They're still popular. I can't think of the name either. They're still popular.
Yeah. I want to say Insight, but I know it's not it.
And then, of course, the Kia Soul. And with everyone,
the Kia Soul.
people
with the hamsters.
With the hamsters. And, you look at these prices again, we were talking about it. The LX starts at $19,190. The Turbo goes up to $27,790. Let's say you get $2,000 off, so you get it for about $25,000. The 2-liter has 147 horsepower. The 1.6 has 201. And I had the X-Line with the 2-liter, and I thought, about a year ago, I thought, could I live with this every day? And I could. Android Auto worked great. You plug the phone right in, had a good sound system. It was fun to drive, even with that 147 horsepower. I could load stuff in it, and I thought, this is a great run around town, fun car, a great first car. Just it's pretty good. That's what I would say. Good warranty, right?
That's right.
Yeah. So
Honda Fit.
Well, Fit was their more car-like. I'm trying to think of I'll think of it. We'll get it during the break. That's embarrassing. We don't remember that one, but they're still around.
Well, 300 different models here.
Yeah, and they had. Didn't they have a little swing out door, and they had like a rubber floor mat?
Right.
The weirdest one was the Nissan Cube because it was asymmetric. The window wrapped around one side; it didn't wrap.
That was a little. Actually, I sort of liked the looks of it, but it was strange.
It was a little bit too Japanese style, I think, for the U.S. market. But they were. They came from Japan. That was a very big thing. Those little cube-like things, because you don't have a lot of space to park, and if you need to move things around, a little cube can do it for you. So, anyway, we just wanted to highlight that. Not a lot new from Kia for 2022 on the Soul, but we always like to highlight vehicles on Cruise Control that maybe you want to go out and you hadn't thought about, but you're looking for basic transport and you're looking for something that can do the duty. Oh, Scion too. Scion had the XB. How can we forget?
That's right.
Scion XB. Yeah. It was a whole thing. The cube vehicles, and this is one of the only ones left, I think. So let's talk a little tech. I love this story because I love car audio, and I also love tech. And apparently, you ever hear people talk about, we need to get a good mixtape going because we're going to have a road trip, right? And we need to get good driving. You get those stories where they say, what's the best music for driving? And someone will say ZZ Top or something like that, Well, Bentley is showing off this system that uses artificial intelligence to compose the best track for driving. So it's like basically scoring. It is basically scoring your trip. And it is partnered with LifeScore to create algorithms that allow vehicle inputs such as engine RPM and acceleration to influence the composition in real time, constantly adapting depending on the driving situation. And they use world-class musicians, contemporary and classical instruments, and cutting-edge technology for recording at the world-famous Abbey Road studios. All the elements are recorded in fully ambisonic, full-sphere surround sound audio using more than 50 microphones to provide for all possible future formats. So, from a sound bank library containing endless suite of audio data and recordings, more than 100 billion unique music tracks are composed for a 60-minute drive, more than the number of stars in the galaxy. Boy, there's that flowy prose again, isn't it?
That's what, not much more than the number of stars in the galaxy.
What do you think of this? It's like an auto score for your driving.
It sounds like it would be really neat.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard it.
There's endless varying renditions that can be unique on every listen for long durations without sounding repetitive or synthetic. What do you think?
Okay, so it's putting together different music for you.
Mixing different music for you based on the...
Not just repeating the same thing.
No. And it is varying this music, and it's unique for the vehicle you're driving and how you're driving it. I think that's pretty neat.
It is neat.
I mean, this is the follow-on. Have you been in certain cars lately where they have, they have white noise, basically. They have rainstorm. They have, ambient noise, and it's to kind of calm you down. My thought when I read this Talking Tech story was, what if they sample all the best engines ever, different sounds, getting off the throttle, getting on the throttle, downshifting, and the car plays them out. The electric car plays them out in the sound system. I think, and it will sound like a real car, or it's sort of like, I want my car to sound like it's got open headers, but nobody's going to hear it outside, but I'll hear it on the inside. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I hope you enjoy it, because I don't want any part of it. I want quiet elegance.
Quiet elegance.
When I want to go down a windy mountain road, I'll put on REO Speedwagon. But
okay. Well, you could do that here with this Bentley. You could have them playing it.
Yeah,
and as you slow down, keep on rolling.
Yeah.
I think they will synthesize the V8 sound, or you could have anything from a a Hellcat V8 to a Cushman scooter. That's what I think. It might. Who knows? But I love it. It's a great bit of tech, audio tech. It's really cool. I would like to hear it. And if we get into a Bentley in the near future, I think it would be definitely a cool thing. It's cool technology. I think we will also see this spread to other vehicles. Remember who used the GPS shifting? It was Rolls-Royce, where they looked ahead and said, there's a hill coming up. The GPS tells me there's a hill coming up, so I'm going to go into a lower gear proactively. So who used it? Kia and Rolls-Royce. So we might see this on a Kia in the future. What do you think?
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
These technologies are for sale, and they move down.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about something completely different than a Bentley. How about this vehicle? This is the Jeep Wrangler Recon. It is the Wrangler Extreme Recon package, offers 35-inch tires right from the factory, fully engineered, and they are custom orders that can now be had from the Toledo, Ohio assembly plant starting in August. It has LT 315 70R 17C BF Goodrich KO2 all-terrain tires. This is an aggressive tire. It's got side mud lugs in the sidewall. It's got a 4.56 to 1 axle ratio. Woo!
Ooh, wow.
That's pretty stout. A 1.5-inch factory suspension lift with uniquely tuned shocks. Best-in-class approach and departure angle. Approach angle is 47.4 degrees.
How did that guy get that thing across those rocks?
I know, it's pretty cool. Breakover angle, 26.7. Departure, 40.4. Ground clearance, 12.9 inches. Pretty cool stuff. I think the big reason they're doing this is the Ford Bronco. And we're going to see this at the Chicago Auto Show, July 14th, so we'll check that out. And check out more Cruise Control coming up. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We will be right back. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We're talking a little bit about that Jeep Recon Extreme, Les Jackson. Show that again there. But Jeep has won the most patriotic brand competition. And that it was followed by Walmart, Disney, and Ford, and Amazon. Amazon was in 4th place. Harley Davidson sits in 14th place. That's very interesting, isn't it?
Well, Jeep, makes sense that they're the most patriotic. I mean, look at their history.
Right.
I would think I'm a little irritated that Amazon is there, considering they don't pay tax.
That's not very patriotic.
Which is not very patriotic.
No. Certainly Ford would be in there. I thought Harley Davidson would have been up higher.
I would have thought, yeah.
Yeah. This is, by the way, it's something called Brand Keys. And they've been doing this for 19 years. And they look at what people consider a patriotic business. So there you go. It's a brand. It's a brand perception, is it? So
yeah, and I would think Coke would have been in there.
Yeah,
I'm not endorsing soft drinks, but
anyway, it's just an interesting study. I figured
Yeah,
I'd
it's
follow
fascinating.
on to what we're doing. I've also found this an interesting story. I think I found this on CarBuzz. Mazda is still building rotary engines. I mean, they have a plant, and they still build them as basically to rebuild them for the RX and other vehicles. And the plant, which has been building rotary engines since 1973, is still building them, but they're only down to 10 people now.
Here you are.
Apparently, Les has gotten some parts.
This is an actual rotor from an RX-8 engine.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool piece.
Chrome plated, and by the way, it weighs about 30 pounds.
And that thing has to spin around at almost 9,000 RPM.
Yeah,
That's
oh
the
yeah.
red line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. But it's fun that 10 people still build these things. And I just found it an interesting bit of automotive
It is interesting,
trivia.
and it's an interesting engine. It's the engineering is quite fascinating.
Do you think the big problem was emissions. Do you think if they ran that on hydrogen or something, it could become viable?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
The idea was it was so small, and in the RX-8, which was the last vehicle, at least that we got here to use it, the engine was almost stuffed under the firewall. It sat so low.
Yeah, it was about the size of a toaster oven.
Yeah.
A big, a good size, or a counter microwave.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Small, compact power plant. So, just cool thing. Another story here. Firefighters are very concerned over electric vehicle fires, and they're basically having to change their tactics here. According to CNBC, a accident that involved a Tesla Model S required Houston firefighters to use up to 28,000 gallons of water to extinguish the flames. I mean, just to kind of put it in perspective, a typical fire pumper carries between 500 to 750 gallons. Some of the big ones might carry 1,000. So that would be like 28. If it carried 1,000 gallons, that's like 28 fire trucks worth of water. It just wouldn't go out. And that is about as much water as the average American uses in 2 years.
Well, that's just not going to cut it. I mean, obviously, lithium batteries, which are quite explosive, if you don't ever, you may have seen it on YouTube, and people drive a nail through through a cell phone battery. Don't do that.
I didn't.
Those things can explode.
I did not plan on doing that this weekend, but
Yeah.
maybe
So
somebody would.
Yeah, imagine a whole car worth of lithium battery. That's a huge amount of energy, and there's got to be a chemical they can
Smother it with.
like soda ash or whatever those old fire extinguishers used to be, that would smother it. But I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, currently the National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, has trained close to 250,000 firefighters in the art of EV fires in the last 12 years. And they say they're going to have to get a lot more trained, because it leaves 80% untrained, because this is going to become the norm. And it's going to be a problem to do that. They can also basically put them out, tow them to the junkyard, and the thing can start on fire again, right?
Yeah. I think, especially with the West not having much water, I think if I were the fire chief, I would say, look, bring out heavy equipment like a excavator, pick the car up as it's burning, put it somewhere where it won't catch something else on fire, and let it burn itself out.
The other thought they had is blankets to smother it, where they could drop something on it, a heavy mat or something, and it would just starve it for air. I mean, I don't know if that would work, but it's a problem, and maybe putting water on it is not the best idea, right?
No, it's so far the only idea, but it's like trying to put out sodium.
Yeah.
It just keeps burning in water.
Let's go with two interesting stories near the end of this edition of Cruise Control. This is a funny one. You ever been in an airport and you see cars that say "Follow me" on it?
Mm-hmm.
Like the plane has to follow. You're a pilot, and typically it's a pickup truck with yellow flags on it. Well, not at this airport. They are using a Lamborghini to be the "Follow me" car. Seems like the purchasing guy went a little crazy here, doesn't it? This is in Bologna.
Looking for an excuse there.
Hurricane car, 640 horsepower, 5.2 liter V10. This is in Bologna, Italy. The car is equipped with warning lights and a radio connected to the airport tower. Follow me. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. There you go. And then there's this one. Are you familiar with Boston Dynamics? They make those creepy robots.
Yeah.
Well, Hyundai has bought a controlling interest in Boston Dynamics. These are the same people that make that walking dog and the other robot where somebody's always coming out with a hockey stick and hitting it. Remember that? He's picking up boxes.
Yeah.
And Hyundai has bought a controlling interest in this. It makes me wonder how that technology is going to be utilized in future Hyundai cars. It's kind of interesting. It makes you think, doesn't it?
It is interesting. I kind of like the idea.
Yeah. Maybe that's maybe that you could have that gigantic guy driving your vehicle or something. That robot.
Maybe.
They made some of the creepiest looking stuff around, though. That they had a thing that looked like a cow with 4 legs running on a little 2-stroke engine, and it came running through the woods. And I think it's stuff you make nightmares out of. But anyway, time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We're going to see you down the road. Don't forget, check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com.
Bye.